a bit more versatility in the kit there. Can be used in different ways, but it's about time we head onto Summoner's Rift and find out how the second Wukong pick is going to go, whether or not he can maintain the 100% win rate that he managed to achieve last game.
Yep, we're going to get to learn a lot about new Wukong. Just like you guys, this is only our second time seeing it. Of course, LEC and LCS are already in 10.6, but Wukong is disabled over there. We've already set up for the side of RNG. They want to look towards their soul laners with this Senna in the bot side. So it's going to be nice to see what can Longxing do on Wukong with some jungle pressure.
What can they do? And I'm curious on whether Week5 will focus on towards that top side and try and shut this Wukong pick down, because should Xiaolongbao head up towards the top side, should Xiaohu start roaming up there as well, it could very quickly get out of control. And as you rightly say, in times of old, it was almost like an assassin, this Wukong. And if you build it aggressively, if you get ahead, he's still going to be a big threat to Y4.
Yep, still going to have a lot of damage, especially if we see him go towards something like the Trinity Force, which is what we see coming out in solo queue. Of course, Squishy AD carry will always be vulnerable to something like a Wukong on the back line. And coming into this early game, I do expect Week5 to have the early pressure. LeBlanc and Lee Sin should come out ahead in the early 2v2 in mid-jungle. Varus and Leona will have pressure onto Senna and Nautilus in the bot lane. So it's going to be all about Week5 dictating the pace of the game.
Once again, which is pretty much the norm now, we see the junglers going leashless to start things off. They don't want to give away any information if they can help it, but Xiaolongbao going to be starting his red buff off on top of a ward, so V5 are going to have that informational advantage.
And there is Xiaohu respecting the threat of a gank coming out from Xiaohan and just knowing, hey, at level 1, LeBlanc has a range advantage. She can poke me down, letting the wave just come into him safely.
Excited to see more of the monkey, but Ming forced to flash very early on in this bottom lane, but Xiaohan actually taking a huge chunk of damage in return from the likes of Betty.
Just good pressure gank coming out. Both supports blowing their flashes though, so it does come out pretty even. Xiaohan going to be able to pressure this blue buff, and it's like we talked about, Week5 have the control in the early stages of the game.
They're going to be looking for a blue buff as well. Xiaolongbao still on the top side of the map, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him moving on over now to try and invade himself, split the map, so he's going to be in control of the top half, but Xiaohan very much in control of the bottom.
Another interesting thing to talk about, going back to the top side, is how Wukong levels up his abilities. I've seen it done differently where it is typically you start E, but it's been done differently whether you just full on max E or whether you just go 1 point in E and go towards your Q. The E does also give you a burst of attack speed after you use that dash, which is what it seems like it's more about for those consistent trades, as compared to the Q, which is just more about that full on AA steroid with the armor shred.
Yeah, it's very much about trying to get the follow-up after the E. Kind of go E auto, Q auto was always the base combo just for those short trades in the top lane.
I'm glad I have a Wukong expert on the desk.
One of my friends hilariously used to main Wukong top. That's a long time ago now. We've got a root in the bottom lane. Y4 forced to flash as we have a fight for the score. Xiaolongbao backing away. TP now channeled from the side of Longxing. He wants to get in onto this fight, and Max has been abandoned by the squad. And he will be going down. Full 5-man roster here, and they gift the first blood to the monkey.
That looked good on the side of Week5 at first. Sure, Y4 had to blow his flash, but you had Xiaohan and CLX coming first through the mid lane. RNG dedicating that TP down towards the bot side and setting Longxing up for success, and he was one of our players to watch coming into the series.
Certainly was, and he's looking good so far. You can see his first item as well, as soon as he heads back, is that Executioners. He wants to be able to trade with Aliez and really punish this Aatrox pick.
Yeah, just typical buy coming against something like the Aatrox. Also, going back to that last exchange, we did see Y4 having to burn his flash. For any of you who don't know, Y4 spent a lot of time under the RNG organization. He's actually played with Ming and Xiaohu, especially in like 2017 summer, 2018 spring. He was one of the 80 carries that was filling in while Uzi took his break.
Yeah, Y4, certainly a storied player, and now up against his own squad.
Whenever we talk about Y4, I just love looking at his photo.
Look at him, putting his finger guns up. He's obviously just going to swap away from him as soon as we bring it up, but Yeah, Y4, he's played on RNG. He's been in the position that Betty has been in, warming Uzi's bench usually. But Betty, with a much larger opportunity than most RNG AD carries to have some real playtime on this squad.
But Betty also comes in with a much better resume than a lot of these, you know, LDL AD carries. Of course, Betty internationally tested many times with Flash Rolls, having some great performances at MSI, at Worlds, and has done pretty good so far in this first split of LPL.
Yeah, he's been looking pretty fantastic. And especially, you mentioned it before, he's looked good on this center specifically. He's had some really highlight games.
Just not on his Pantheon.
Not on his Pantheon, but we'll just pretend that game never happened. Because, I don't know, that was not a highlight game for RNG, it has to be said, up against EDG. Here we go, dive onto Xiaohu, and it's gonna be the solo kill. See you later, Mole. CLX wants this spot.
CLX showing up so big. We talked about how LeBlanc would have early pressure in this matchup, but not necessarily supposed to get the solo kill. Xiaohu, of course, still having the flash up, having the TP up, could have backed off at any moment. CLX didn't have the item advantage, just back now, but still, 2 years in the LDL, coming into LPL now and showing up huge.
CLX looking amazing on this Blanc. You mentioned it as a pick that he's proficient with, that he's played in the past. Really showing up and showing that he's not intimidated. You know, coming into this series, V5 are obviously the underdog. When you look at the standings, V5 a singular game win on the board, but they're not going to play like that. They're up against RNG, and they're here to make their mark.
And let's talk about, he was one of the most affected people by Victory5 losing kind of their roster. He's played mid, he's played support, he's played top. He's been everywhere this roster. Him and Xiaohan actually come from the JD organization together. They have, you know, a storied history. We see how well he can perform when he has the kind of full roster around him with Xiaohan by his side.
See if he can keep this performance up. It's a great start for him on this LeBlanc. The question will be, how much can he use this gold advantage, this pressure that he's gained in the mid lane, to influence the rest of the map? Because it's not just about winning your 1v1, it's about getting the squad ahead.
Yep, does look like he will look towards the bottom side, and that's what we've already set up for Xiaohan. It's all about using his push in mid, push in bot, get ahead in the jungle, try to find 2v2 opportunities in the mid lane. Moving over to RNG side, we want to see Xiaolongbao put some pressure up towards top lane and towards mid, especially with Betty about to hit that level 6 mark.
Xiaohan looking for this blue buff once again. Does feel like Xiaohan has been in charge of the jungle so far this game. CLX is going to be the benefactor of that. Xiaohan is still only level 5 though, whereas Xiaolongbao already hitting that level 6 mark.
Xiaohan has just been a lot more active on the map, consistently looking for these plays on bot.
Mimic onto the ethereal change there from CLX. Just consistently great trades in this mid lane from him.
Yeah, but now we're getting to the point where Silas will just be able to look to clear these waves. And of course, it's much harder for LeBlanc to get the wave clear. Xiaohu hovering for Xiaolongbao, so he is able to come out with the counter jungle quite clean, and some sneaky plays.
Yeah, CLX could be in trouble here. Did use the distortion to clear the wave, but they're deciding they're not going to be able to go for this one. Flash would still be available for CLX as well. Oh, and he's going to be able to steal a chicken off the back of it as well. CLX is feeling comfortable. He's feeling confident.
And I love this pressure coming out while Victory5 are trying to do the Rift Herald for Xiaolongbao away. We already see that Max is up towards the top side. Longxing went for the recall, so Alias is able to push out his wave, and it doesn't look like RNG are going to be in a position to contest.
I'm not even sure if RNG are aware of this one. It's going to be taken away by
They did
Xiaohan.
ping it out.
Oh, did they ping it? Okay.
Could have just been like a guess ping, but now they know for sure.
I'm not much of a minimap guy myself, it has to be said. I rely on my support spam pinging me to be able to notice these kinds of things. But,
I just want to say I'm quite disappointed by the Wukong so far, in the sense that it was hyped. Of course, to remind everyone, we've been on 10.5 here in the LPL. We have games every day, so we don't really get to look at 10.6.
well, Xiaohu doesn't get to look at his mid lane farm right now because the entire squad is here. Max gets the kill with his Eclipse, and now we're going to just drop the Herald in the mid lane. It's time to siege.
Victory 5 just once again using their pressure very well, rotating their bot lane over, going to be able to almost take down this turret. And RNG are in no place to respond. Xiaohu does not have TP and Longxing is not here.
What is going on today? DMO looking great, Vici looking great. Now V5 showing up against RNG. Some ridiculous results coming our way. And the big question will be, can they keep this performance up? Can they make this lead stick? They're 1,500 gold ahead. They got the first Infernal for themselves. Next Drake will be spawning in 30 seconds time.
And Victory 5's comp is a lot like the one we just saw in our previous game from Vici, where it is about getting the LeBlanc ahead, trying to transition her into a side lane where she will have some pressure, rotating first to the objective, putting down vision, and then poking out with your lethality Varus. Will be harder this game when you are facing something like a Sylas in that side lane, though.
Yeah, a lot of side lane pressure from the side of RNG. You can split push pretty effectively on the Wukong as well. The Nimbus Strike giving you the bonus attack speed. You can just blast through the turrets. And obviously the Q as well, the Crushing Blow, it is an auto-attack reset. So, especially if you do go for the Triforce, you can be very effective. Xiaohu dodges away from the Solar Flare, but Alias still wants it. Forced the flash out of the Sylas. Xiaolongbao can't go in. Cyclone comes on through, gets the knockups. Alias now the target. He's low, and he's chased over the wall. Void Rush finishes him off, and V5 are rooted here. Now onto the likes of Max. The Ignite might just be enough flash for the auto from Betty. And RNG back in control. Flash from XLB onto CLX as well under the tower. They can't go for the dive though.
That went from 0 to 100 really fast, and it just feels like RNG mechanically outplaying Victory 5. Had that Flash E landed from Max, I think there was a good chance that Xiaohu would have just been deleted. Then you have a numbers advantage for Victory 5. We see it here. Max jumping in, missing that Flash E.
Yeah.
Pretty much missing the ultimate too. We see how low Xiaohu got just from Alias. Would have been deleted from this fight, but still, the Wukong coming in, hitting the knockup, donning shadows. Once again, there's a double knockup coming out from Wukong, and now Victory 5 are set, split up. You're able to abuse this in the mid lane with the range, and ooh, very good flash coming out from Betty. Now Xiaolongbao going in aggressively, and Xiaohu diving in with him, and RNG were falling not pretty far behind, but enough behind to where it was kind of scary for them, but they get back in the game.
Yeah, they were certainly losing momentum, but no longer. V5, though, will get a silver lining in that mid lane tower plate. CLX is pushed pretty far up, and that's going to be a teleport in from Xiaohu. They're not looking for CLX, though. They want this Ocean Drake. They want to retake control of the neutral objectives.
RNG just doing a good job using the Sylas TP, which just pretty much instantly gives them tempo on this objective. Of course, Alias is able to get plates out of it on the top side of the map. So both teams getting a little bit of something, but good for RNG to kind of force the macro play and take the Drake.
Yep, and you expect this kind of macro play from RNG as well. When you think of them as a squad, you think of them being kind of a very organized, very orderly team. And you know, forcing plays around a dragon, forcing plays around tower plays is very much their style.
Until recently, where they've started going more towards these Senna drafts, to me, RNG were probably the most proactive LPL team in the second and third week of the split. They were so good at just consistently moving their members around the map together to get numbers on the objective, get tempo, force unexpected ganks, kind of constantly bring Ming around the map as this roaming death squad with Xiaolongbao. But recently they've kind of slowed that down a bit and elected for this more kind of scaling in a sense style, a slower style.
Yeah, it does feel like, I guess more macro-oriented, a bit more scaling-oriented as well.
Doesn't even feel like macro so much as, again, we saw things like the Kassadin come out, the Diana, the GP, things like the Sylas and the Senna that take longer. They're just saying, hey, we don't want to go back to those proactive picks like the Rumbles, like the Zoes, like the LeBlancs for ourselves, and they're changing it up.
They're changing it up, but honestly, it's been looking a little bit better recently. So if this is the change that they needed to make, then I'm all for it.
I was going to say it's been looking a bit better until recently, where we do see Victory 5 about to pick up their second turret to none on the side of RNG.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it was looking better until this game, right? I mean, This isn't in the match history just yet.
Pretty awkward time to make your statement, but I respect the confidence.
Agreed. They are still behind right now. V5 still 1,000 gold ahead, still 2 towers up as well. But it has to be said, when you look at RNG's match history, they've had some kind of questionable losses in the past. They were 2-0'd by Vici Gaming, who have now got another win, like kind of an unprecedented win against eStar earlier today.
They honestly should have lost to EDG the other day.
Yeah, EDG would have beaten them. They also lost to BLG as their first match of the entire season.
Whoa. That was when BLG looked legit.
Yeah, but BLG looked legit because they beat RNG, right? That's the thing about it. Well, it was one of the first matches of the entire LPL.
I thought they just looked good by the eye test, Joe.
Well, I'm not an optician, so I wouldn't know anything about eye tests. But to me, this RNG roster so far, this split, they've looked really strong in their wins, but they've looked inconsistent. They've looked like there are weaknesses that can be exposed in the right situation. And maybe V5 found one of them this game. Big steps on forward, into the fight we go. Solar Flare on 2 this time. CLX bursts them down. This is a huge fight for V5. Ming will fall. 2 kills for Alias, and now CLX once more chains towards Xiaohu, but it's going to be on cooldown. Their Herald taken for a second time now for V5.
I just want to know what is going on in the LPL today. Victory5 coming out way ahead. RNG actually being the ones to try and initiate posture for that fight when Longxing hadn't even arrived yet. Here we see RNG Ming being the one to engage on them, and then Max going into the full team. And just look at how strong Alias is on this Aatrox. And we see Longxing just arrived to the fight by the time 3 members of RNG are already dead.
Yeah, and the Aatrox LeBlanc combo is terrifying. The Solar Flare lands on 2. CLX bursts them down, and Alias is there to just bring down the World Ender and finish it all off. Magnificent coordination coming out from V5.
And I do want to point out Aatrox is a big beneficiary out of these Death Stance changes. They actually don't change too much for him. You lose 30 AD, but you gain 30 armor and magic resist. It is 100 gold more expensive, which kind of sucks, but still, it felt like the 30 damage on Aatrox before was just a bit of overkill. You had the damage to finish off targets with your combos regardless, so getting a bit more beefiness is just always great, and an item that gives lifesteal plus resistances just works really well off each other, because all that health you're getting back is getting the benefit of those resistances.
I personally, when I saw the Death Stance changes, I thought it made sense as a change to the item. Now, granted, I'm not the kind of player that plays bruisers, so it's not necessarily my speciality, but it felt like the reason that you build Death Stance is because you want a bit more damage, but you also want to start to get tanky. I feel like the item kind of fulfills that role more significantly now.
Yeah, it's definitely more well-rounded now. And another change that a lot of people actually kind of miss that's also gone through is Aatrox has had a bug fix that now he can heal off shields, which wasn't happening before. And as an Aatrox player, that's actually really massive.
There's a lot of shields in the game as well. That's a lot of healing that could have been denied. Second charge came through in the bottom side of the map here as CLX won't quite be able to finish this tower, but now that Max and Xiaohan are here, I think they should be able to push this one in. Minion wave going to be cleared, but Xiaohan happy to take a couple of shots.
And going back to the actual game, of what Victory5 want to do and what they have been doing successfully is, we said, put LeBlanc in one side lane, put Aatrox in the other, kind of roam towards your strong side, which is the LeBlanc, get this pressure as a team with a number advantage, look for picks, control vision, give Y4 room to throw out this poke on the Lethality Varus. Alias is fine off in his side lane by himself.
I honestly feel like when you look at the composition for RNG, Betty should be on Yasuo, man. Look how many knockups are in this squad. You got the Wukong, you got Rek'Sai, you got Nautilus, and then Silas. Everyone knocks people up.
After seeing his Pantheon, I don't want to see Yasuo.
Very true. Root comes through, though. Xiaolong Bao takes half of his health from an arrow there. Solar Flare goes wide once again, but they're going in anyway. Xiaolong Bao going to be saved, and the knockup comes through from the Cyclone. Give it 2 as well as the Mimic comes on in. It's going to be 1 kill for Longxing. Great start to the fight for RNG. Oh, actually, it's not over just yet. CLX just one-shots Betty.
That was looking pretty good for RNG, but CLX showing why he's the one being subbed in and Mole's the one being taken out. Looking great on this LeBlanc so far.
Mole was the problem after all. Maybe not. I don't want to say any statements that are a little too aggressive.
Don't disrespect Mole. Not on this desk.
I know that you're Mole's biggest fan. I know that, but let's take another look because
RNG looking for a pick. The great flash by Y4, but still RNG's composition is a lot better when it's grouped up more consistently. We do want to see them group up as 5 or 4 man in this scenario. Longxing coming up with a huge knock-up. RNG able to pick up a kill off the end of this, but CLX is just so far ahead, hits the ethereal chains and finds the kill.
Literally from full health. And the chains, I think, a singular pixel from missing right there. They're kind of locked on to Betty, and that's going to mean that the fight evened up once again. The gold lead still in favor of V5. They've got 2 Drakes for themselves, the next one 2.5 minutes away. And just look at the tower difference. I think that's the most significant lead that V5 have for themselves.
Yep, and we haven't really talked much about what RNG want to do, but they first of all want to get some more gold onto Xiaohu to where he can be this kind of late game threat that we've set him up for. But the name of the game for them is getting pressure through mid as 5. They have a lot more standard of a front to back team fight, especially with the Nautilus, with the Wukong, giving Betty space to make plays. We already talked about how Y4 doesn't really have any peeling options other than the Chains of Corruption and the Dragon's Rage. So once you get on top of him, should be pretty easy to take him down. The problem with all of this is how far ahead that CLX has gotten, and he should still be bullying out Xiaohu in the side lane and should be able to consistently make his way to mid first.
CLX is going to be one of the major focuses for the squad of RNG. They need to try and shut him down if they can, but that's one of the things about LeBlanc is everyone always talks about how aggressive she can be, how offensive the strength is for her, but also she's pretty difficult to shut down. She's very safe as a mid laner because of the distortion and the mimic on top of it. When you're in a side lane, it's very, very difficult to get on top of her.
It was one of the reasons why we saw her being such a prominent blind pick here for so many weeks is it's very easy to get ahead, and then once you get ahead, it's very hard to shut her down. She just has so much mobility in her kit. We see what great LeBlanc players can do with her as how CLX has found these picks onto Betty.
See, Longxing going to be 2 items deep into his Wukong build. And this is more the style of Wukong that we're seeing these days. Oh, here we go, big fight. Knock up onto 2, and Longxing going to be able to finish 1 off. Max the next target, but they're answering it onto Betty as well. Even fight so far, but another one for Longxing. RNG turning this one. 7 and 7 on the scoreboard. 2 for 1 in the fight.
First of all, great play by Longxing to find that engage, from that push play. Does also look like CLX went in a bit too deep, ended up getting picked out, and Victory5 just weren't in a formation where they were able to take that. We talked about how ideally they would want to be the ones set up first in River, poking out the enemy, but Longxing with a great flank here. CLX coming from behind and Ming completely shutting him down. All of RNG turning towards him, knowing that he's the big damage in the comp right now, and they come out ahead.
Yeah, really nice heads-up play coming out from RNG to spot out CLX on the backside.
Longxing and Ming.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Longxing dropping the control ward and picks up Russia, just sitting there, biding his time, waiting for someone to step onto him. He knows if he can get that first knock-up, you're almost guaranteed the second one unless they've got flash available. 2 knockups back to back. A lot of power to be had right there. Dragon goes the way of RNG. 2 apiece there. Ming has his stone plate, so he'll be pretty tanky. Does miss the hook though. That might mean that the fight is disengaged, although a Sonic Wave, CLX as well. Trying to find a way in. RNG, I think they're going to walk away with the Dragon here. Nothing else off the back of it. CLX goes in once again. Moving on towards this mid lane tower though. CLX going to have the inside track. They should be able to just about finish this one off. So at least V5, they managed to answer in some way for the Dragon.
They abused the push from mid lane that they'd already gotten from RNG taking Dragon, are able to secure that tower. An interesting thing to turn our eyes towards too is the Wukong build that Longxing is going. Yep. Again, in solo queue, you've seen a lot of Trinity Force, but in our 2 games, we have seen Black Cleaver. Again, when you're not a very high damage champion in these later stages, getting that armor shred, which also combos with your Q, yep, which also has its own armor shred, is pretty good. Going towards the Sterax and just being more of this kind of front line that we have seen new Wukong go towards.
And even old Wukong, when you did build more just raw damage, sometimes seeing even lethality built on it.
Yep.
Black Cleaver was still a great item for him, just because the Cyclone will consistently hit people. If you get the Cyclone on multiple people, you're just going to shred the entire team's armor
Black
down.
Cleaver stacks onto everyone. And when you have a lethality user on your team like the Senna, it's even better.
Oh, CLX is caught and he's got no mana either. Ming gets the kill credit. Is Xiaohan going to try and find his way out? But I don't know if he gets away with this one. Knock up from the Cyclone. But he will walk away in the end. Costs him his flash.
It feels like we're seeing Wukong used a lot more proficiently this game.
Yeah.
Those 2 knockups being so massive, not able to get that second pick in the end, but still really good play coming out from RNG. When we talked about their comp is so much better grouped up than Victory5's.
We need to see V5 spreading out on the map here, but CLX, I mean, he didn't have any mana. He was trying to get his blue buff, and he gets caught out unaware. Really great from RNG to see them punishing that kind of thing. Punishing, because ultimately, you wouldn't expect, if you're CLX, you wouldn't necessarily expect RNG to be going that deep into your jungle while your tier 1 in the mid is still up.
True. It was that's what I've loved about RNG is they're very creative with the ways they use their pressure. And good to see them consistently keep that up because, again, they're sitting at 5-3 right now. We should expect RNG to be a playoff team, but we have seen them drop series before, and that's something you still can't afford to do, as Hysterics was saying earlier, until you get closer to that magic number of 9.
Yeah, 9 is going to be pretty much you getting locked into playoffs. It is possible in a round robin that 9 doesn't get you playoffs, but it has to be a very skewed table, and that's not what we've got here this season of the LPL. We very much have a wide range of wins and losses across the board. So it's pretty much going to be that magic 8 that is the halfway mark. And if you get 9, you're very likely to make it to playoffs.
Also, something that we've missed is look at Longxing, 100% kill participation. That's something you almost never see out of a top laner. Again, usually being on their islands. But not Longxing this game.
He's on the island of Summoner's Rift. The entire Summoner's Rift this game. Looking for a fight in the mid lane. Chains of Corruption, as well as a Solar Flare. Max goes in, and that's a lot of damage from V5, but the Dawning Shadow with shields across the team keeps everyone up for RNG. They back away, but what do they lose?
It looked like Victory5 were going to be able to punish RNG's play there. Again, pretty aggressive to look for a dive on the mid lane turret at 27 minutes.
Are they going to go for a Baron here? CLX baiting.
They don't have the damage to go for a Baron Munch. They have Lethality, Varus, and LeBlanc. Let's be honest.
I'm ready for them to go for this one, but I've been ready for Barons many times before, and I've been heartbroken before as well. Looks like the recalls come through just as RNG check for the whole team. Oh, CLX.
RNG
oh my goodness, this was close. RNG nearly cut them down there.
Now RNG actually don't have Baron damage either. You have Silas in an early game Senna.
No Barons yet.
I know, I'm disappointed. Yeah, right?
Disappointment. We have Aegis coming through for Longxing here in the top lane.
Well, it's going towards New Death Stance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see,
I forgot about the build path, yeah.
That stance being a lot better for these champions that do rely on their AD spells to get that healing from. So, gonna get some lifesteal in his kit, gonna get a bit more tankiness going on for him. Again, we can already see in a lot of these skirmishes, he isn't really a big damage threat anymore. Yeah. It is all about setting up for your team.
Needs himself a GA. Get an extra BF sword in the inventory, that'll do the trick. Speaking from experience, I've built BF sword many times before. But V5 starting off a Cloud Drake. RNG looking for a flank though. Xiaohu will be spotted out. Xiaohan will be able to secure this dragon. Soul point now for V5. RNG looking towards the mid lane. Xiaohu, where are you going? What is he doing right now? Flash for the Chains of Corruption, but it doesn't land. Neither do the chains from CLX. Mid lane protected though.
That was really confusing where they looked like they wanted to go for that play. Looked like Longxing was waiting for a good place to get a TP flank off as well. They weren't able to find it, and
I don't know.
I don't know too.
What that was. Xiaohu's like, yeah, I was just scenic route to get to top lane to split push, I swear. This was the plan all along. Now V5 collapsing on towards the Baron. Xiaohu's still here, by the way. He's still going to be on this half of the map, but he'll walk away, not looking for a contest right now. Longxing with the teleport available. Obviously, in case you've missed the rest of the broadcast, teleport did get nerfed a little bit here as well on this patch.
Whoa, 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 whoa. At this point in the game, we're buffed, Munch. It went from 7 to 4 minutes scaling. So we're probably at the point where it's close to that 4-minute mark. Should be about 5.5 now.
I don't exactly know the timings on it.
I'm gonna take a strong guess. We're at level 16 for Longxing, level 15 for Aliez. We're getting to that point.
Yeah, it's probably closer to 4 than anything else now. So I retract my statement. Teleport got buffed coming into this one. Maybe not, but either way, teleport cooldown changed. Google 10.6, everyone. It's important.
So what we want to see is going back to Victory 5 doing what they were before. It's actually a lot harder at this point where Xiaohu does have a few items now. He can contest CLX in that side lane. We want to see Xiaohan playing with CLX, getting control of River through that point and trying to find picks with this Varus, with this LeBlanc, and then fighting with a numbers advantage.
Aliez going to be relegated to the split push duty, just clearing up these waves down in the bottom side of the map. We've mentioned neither of these teams have the fastest Baron clear in the world, but they will start to hover up towards the top half just because if either of them lose a T5, someone gets caught out, doesn't matter how fast the Baron is, it is still takeable.
I do still expect us to just kind of wait for this next dragon coming up in about 2 minutes before we see any real action.
2.5 minutes, 2.75 just under, until the dragon will spawn. And in the meantime, we're going to have just a lot of pressure in these side lanes from both squads. RNG going to be clearing the vision away around this Baron. They're going to be the ones in control of the top half of the map now. You can see Aliez pushing away on the bottom side. He's getting ready to recall. He knows he might have to TP.
And this is great coming out from RNG. I love seeing them group up together, finding this pressure, setting up vision, and now it's all about if they can find and engage onto Victory 5.
Big steps forward to try and look for it. CLX. He wants another opportunity onto Betty. We saw him pop Betty earlier on in the game, but I don't think he's going to be lucky like that again.
Wukong's magic resist on his passive has gotten nerfed, but he does have some health regen now, so he's going to be able to heal up, especially with the Senna on his team.
Being caught out, the stone plate makes him very hard to kill. Dawning Shadow across the squad, but Xiaohan flashes away. We've got Wukong coming in as well. Longxing has to use his clone just to get himself out to safety. Both teams kind of tentative about committing to this fight.
Again, Victory 5 aren't necessarily looking to full-on commit. They're looking to pick someone off, which is how we saw that fight start. Then once Ming used the stone plate, they realized, hey, actually, their team is a lot more durable in these team fights. If they can get onto our backline, they just win. They tried to with Longxing, but Aliez hitting his W made it so that he wasn't able to get into the likes of Victory 5. And both teams, you know, just saying, okay, well, that didn't go the way we planned, just backing off.
And it's good to see that, you know, assessing the situation correctly, saying, look, this is not the right fight for us anymore. Time to back away. And kind of resetting once again, especially with this dragon spawning in under a minute's time now. You see the shift moving to the bottom half of the map. Everyone going to get their last reset in if they can. I bet he's going to be spending some of that gold before the dragon fight.
And Xiaohu finally hitting that first big benchmark on Silas, which is your third item when you pick up this Lich Bane, which synergizes very well with your passive. So he's going to be a huge member we need to keep our eye on. And like we've seen, it's all about Longxing with these ultimates.
Look at the deep flank already from Xiaolongbao and Longxing. We saw them get a catch from Pixel Brush earlier on in the game, and they're looking to repeat this monkey business coming on through. Xiaohan could be the one to face check. Longxing is going to be alone for now, though. Gets on CLX. CLX perfectly safe on the LeBlanc. Xiaolonbao's behind everyone right now. V5 are flanked. Xiaolonbao goes in. Knockups galore onto Xiaohan, and he's just removed from the fight immediately. Max now will not be tanky enough to survive, and CLX does not have the return damage. Really nice pickup for RNG, and they will deny this soul.
Just great flank coming in from Longxing, but good play coming in from all members, finding that aggressive engage that we wanted to see from them. And again, this game was looking really scary in the early stages. RNG showing they are the more experienced team, bringing it together, and now they're also sitting at soul point, and they can start looking to threaten something like a Baron.
Yeah, one thing you mentioned earlier on is the proficiency on this Wukong from Longxing, and it's looking great during these fights.
Yeah, just getting in on the backline, again, hitting them with those knockouts. Alias trying to get on the backline of RNG himself, having to run out of there, and it just left Max in a really awkward position where he's by himself, surrounded by the members of RNG.
Ooh, Xiaohu managing to dodge away from most of the combo there. Keeps himself safe. Soul for both teams. And as you rightly say, we've got RNG here. They are the more experienced squad. They're definitely the team that you look to for great late game decision making, but having the players that have been here before to the later stages and will be able to make these split-second macro decisions. Longxing on the Wukong. You mentioned it before, will start to fall off in the later stages though.
Yeah, he isn't going to do as much damage as just early on. Again, a lot of Wukong's base damages are actually up, making him a lot stronger in lane. When it gets to late game, you can just look at his build and know that is not his function in this game. He's a lot more about disrupting the backline. In this case, applying all those Black Cleaver stacks for Betty to do even more damage and just being a menace for Victory5 to deal with.
Xiaolong Bao as well going to have that Black Cleaver, so Betty going to be very happy with the amount of armor shred that's coming out from the rest of his team. And you can see the Executioner's Calling coming through for Betty as well now. Trying to reduce some of the healing from the side of Alias, but also probably moving on towards the armor shred himself.
And of course, looking over at Ming, he is an item up on Max. It is expected when he has been farming on this Nautilus. And it is one of the things that kind of props up the Nautilus, who typically isn't as tanky as the Leona because she does have those resistances coming out of her W as compared to health for the likes of Nautilus. So he's going to feel like a really strong front line in these teamfights himself.
CLX avoids the hook with his distortion there. V5 honestly impressing me so far this game. The fact that this is even, the fact that we're being pushed towards a 40-minute game between V5 and RNG, it's a totally different result to what we were expecting here. V5 still very much in this game, still very much in with a chance, bringing down one of the favorites of the LPL in RNG, one of the oldest, longest standing organizations.
And the cool part is it's off the backs of a rookie. Again, CLX spent 2 years on Joy Dream in the LDL. This is his first time over here playing in the LPL. There he is sitting at a 6 kill participation out of 7. He's really been the man to make everything happen on the side of Victory5 this game.
Yeah, and we saw CLX kind of having a couple of games for himself on the squad when they were shifting around, and I was most impressed by him when he was in the mid lane, when he was playing as Orianna, and now his LeBlanc as well, looking fantastic. Really justifying the fact that he has been subbed in once again.
You know, I don't want to like chop down your like strong point, but it does make sense he would impress you in the mid lane when he is a mid laner, you know.
True.
Does make sense.
True.
His top
but
lane
then
LeBlanc
again,
and his support play.
Longxing impressed me in the mid lane, and he's not a mid laner.
That's true. Okay, you win this one.
I will find a way to make my point valid. There's nothing you can do. Oh dear. Well, as we look across the board now, we've got two teams that are on Soul Point. We've got V5 that, it has to be said, the lethality coming out from Varus will start to fall off, whereas Senna obviously kind of indefinitely scales because of those souls.
Yep, Senna will keep going up and obviously brings a lot of utility to her team in terms of the sustain and the ultimate. Senna's kit as a whole, just really, really strong. It's why we've always seen her be a staple of pro play since she has come out as a champion.
Dragon spawning in 40 seconds. V5 looks like they want to fight before that though, posturing in the mid lane, and RNG here to meet the full 5v5. Xiaohu steals the Dragon's Rage with his hijack route onto Max. CLX just trying to find some poke. Just back and forth in this fight. We finally get an engage. It's onto Max though, and he's very tanky. Flashes to the rest of his team. Uses the stone plate as well. Alias kicked away by the likes of Xiaohu. The hook from Ming, it just hits the wall. Longxing trying to get in again. These fights, they're so non-committal from both teams.
RNG are trying to find the perfect engage, but Victory5 are doing a nice job dancing around just enough where they can't seem to find it. But still, we've talked about RNG's compositions in these straight 5v5s are stronger. Week5 wants to be able to sit back and lay down that poke. Silex wants to be able to find a flank and get on top of someone like Betty or Xiaolongbao, but
this dancing around, though, has netted RNG the Cloud Soul for themselves. Not the most influential soul in the game, but a soul's a soul at the end of the day, and it means that Elder will spawn in 6 minutes' time. Now moving up towards this Baron.
And Weik4's not here.
Oh, they're going to catch out Alias, though. He's alone, and he will be finished off. Surely, no, flashes to safety. Void Rush comes on through to try and finish off the World Ender, and they will do so. Now onto the Tier 2 as well. RNG, they're wanting to finally capitalize.
Victory5 just making some small missteps that constantly give RNG advantages and built them up this gold lead to begin with. And RNG now, like we've talked about, going to be able to threaten this Baron.
CLX, no mana. He has to reset before they can do anything about it. But RNG opting out of the Baron play for now. Scuttlecrab in favor of V5, so they realize it would be incomplete vision here. And this is tense between these two teams. And I have to say, if you're RNG right now, if you're coming into this series, if you're Mata, the coach of RNG, you're not thinking this is going to be a really long, really drawn-out struggle against V5. You're thinking this is going to be an easy series. They're sweating right now.
Yeah, pretty surprising for RNG by Victory5 putting up such a fight. Also pretty surprising to see Xiaohu pick up the Morello Namicon so late. I guess it is good to have that flat magic pen when no one on the side of Victory5 has really built much magic with this, but you would think would have been nice to see him go more towards a big power spike that would come soon, something like a death cap. But gonna get those immediate stats now, of course. Grievous Wound's not necessarily a bad thing, so Xiaohu gonna be a big monster in these fights.
Xiaohu will certainly be a monster in these fights if he can get onto the right targets. A lot of spell shields, though, on both sides of the board. We've got Edge of Knights coming on through. We've got a Banshee's Veil as well for CLX. It's going to be difficult to necessarily stick onto the right target.
You are right. I agree. Death Cap would have been a better purchase.
That's exactly what I was saying. You're absolutely right. Here we go. Teleport coming on in from the side of RNG. They might have found the fight they've been looking for. Max will be the target. And he's taken down. Ignite finishes him off. Oh, and Alias has gone in at the worst possible moment. He's going to drop as well. Bit of sustain, but it's not enough against 5 people. And the GA will not save you. The World Ender's world is ended. And now Xiaohu wants some more as well. Zhonya's available for him, and the rest of the squad arrives to support their mid laner. GA popped for the side of Xiaohan. Double knock up onto Weik4. And we said he doesn't do damage. That looked like damage to me. Onto the mid lane they go. And RNG might have just netted themselves the win.
RNG coming up big, superior in these 5v5 engages, capitalizing on Victory5's mistakes, and they're going to come out on top.
It looks like in the end, RNG are going to get this first game for themselves. V5, though, a commendable performance in the early game. Great patience from RNG to win it out once they get to the late stages.